So let us really hear from Prabhu's language. Hare Krishna.
Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janava Girivaradha Gopi Janava Girivaradha Yashodanandana Prajajanna Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanna Yamuna Jaya Ma Kunja Prajajanna Vishnu His Divine Loving Grace, Savior of the world, Abhayacharana Bhakti Vedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Bharakachara. Asatesata His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj Thakur ki. Prem Inanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki. Ananta Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ji. Samaveda devotees. All devotees. So we're doing text 15, is that correct?
15 to 17.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, but 15 has a purport. So the tradition is if the verse has a purport, then we just do the one verse, okay? Okay. Nayavad etam tanubrin narendra Viduyamayam vinodayena Vimukta Sango Jita Shat Sapatno
Mukta Sango Jita Sapatno
Vedatma Tattvam Brahmatiti Tavat
Vedatma Tattvam Brahmati Hatavat
Yavadetam Tanu Brinnarendra
Yavadetam Manubrindarendra
Viduyamayam Vinudoya Daya Yena
Viduyamaya Vayunodayena
Viduyamayam Vayanodayena
Viduyamaya Vayunodayena
Vimukta Sango Jita Shat Sapatno
Mukta Sango Jita Sapatno
Vedatma Tattvam Brahmati Tatavat
Vedatma Tattvam Brahmati Hatavat
Yavadetam Tanu Brinnarendro
Yavadetam Manubrindarendra
Vaduyamayam Vinudayena
Viduyamaya Vayunodayena
Vimukta Sango Jita Shat Sapatno
Mukta Sango Jita Sapatno
Vedatma Tattvam Brahmati Hatavat.
Vedatma Tattvam Brahmati Hatavat
Others?
Nayavadetam tanubrindarendra
Nayaharitam Tanu Brinnarendra
Vidoyamayam vayunodayena
Udamayam Vinudayena
Vimukta Sango Jita Satsapatno
Vimukta Sango Jita Shat Sapatno
Vedatma Tattvam Brahmati Hatavat
Vedana Tattvam Brahmati Hatavat
Nayavadetam Tanubrindarendra
Yavadetam Tanu Brinnarendra
Viduyamayam Vayunodayena
Vinudayayam Vinudayena
Mukta Sango Jita Satsapatno
Vimukta Sango Jita Shat Sapatno
Vedatma Tattvam Brahmati Hatavat
Vedana Tattvam Brahmati Hatavat. Mataji? Hare Krishna. Not. Yavat, as long as. Etam, this. Tnubrit, one who has accepted as the self. Narendra, O King, Vidhuya Mayam, washing away the infection accumulated because of the contamination by the material world. Whew. Try that again.
accumulated because of the contamination by the material world.
Vayuna Udayena, by awakening of transcendental knowledge,
By awakening of transcendental knowledge,
due to good association
due to good association,
and study of the Vedic literatures.
and study of Vedic literatures,
Vimukta Sangha,
Vimukta Sangha,
free from all material association.
free from all material association,
Ditashat Sapatna,
Dasasapatna,
conquering the 6 enemies,
conquering the 6 enemies,
the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses and the mind.
the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses and the mind.
Veda
Veda
knows.
knows.
Atma Tattvam,
Tattva,
spiritual truth.
spiritual truth.
Brahmati,
Brahmati,
he wanders.
wonders.
Iha, in this material world.
This material world.
Tavat,
Tavat,
until that time.
until that time.
My dear King Rahugana, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from the contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he does not conquer the 6 enemies and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. I say, you say? My dear King Rahugana,
My dear King Rahul,
Rahugana,
as long as the conditioned soul
as long as the conditioned soul
accepts the material body
accepts the material body
and is not freed from the contamination
is not free from the contamination
of material enjoyment,
of material enjoyment,
and as long as he does not conquer
and as long as he does not conquer
his 6 enemies
six enemies
and comes to the platform
and comes to the platform
of self-realization
of self-realization,
by awakening his spiritual knowledge,
by awakening his spiritual knowledge,
he has to wander among different places
he has to wander among different places,
and different species of life
different species of life
in this material world.
in this material world.
Purport by His Divine Grace Abhayacharana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. When one's mind is absorbed in the material conception, he thinks that he belongs to a particular nation, family, country, or creed. These are called upadhis, designations, and one has to become freed from them. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. That means one has to sarvopadi, of all upadhis, one has to become free. As long as one is not freed, he has to continue conditioned life in this material world. The human form of life is meant for cleansing away these misconceptions. If this is not done, one has to repeat the cycle of birth and death, and thus suffer all material conditions. So, there are 6 enemies. There's the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses. We see things. We want to see something beautiful. So the deities are the most beautiful. We can control our desire to see beautiful things by meditating on the deities. So many paintings also of Krishna and his pastimes. Prabhupada says they're windows to the spiritual world. They're alive. They're not ordinary paintings. Even with an ordinary work of art, people can feel some relation. But Prabhupada says that's not real spiritual consciousness. It has to be bona fide, it has to be authorized by a devotee who imbues the work with his bhakti and his surrender to his spiritual master. Then the spiritual potency is there. Another is the ear. We are always hearing things. So we become attached to hearing, like music. People like to listen to different kinds of music. We listen to mundane music. Then we also have to hear the traffic noises and so many disturbances. We become attached in that way, and we're greatly disturbed. But if we become attached to hearing kirtan, I remember all of us noticed this when we would be out on Bhakti speech and Sankirtan. We did what we called it small town Sankirtan. We would all go to a small town and start at the way small towns in America are. There would be a square, town square, and then the courthouse would be there, and there'd be stores all along the sides. And as you go out, there'd be more and more stores. So, and then eventually you get out to where the gas stations are and things. So we would experience, sometimes we'd hear some sound, and it would remind, like if we're going by a gas station and you hear some tool clattering, it would sound to us like the cartels chanting Hare Krishna, you know. And I'm sure everyone has had this experience. Sometimes we hear from some talking in the background. They may be talking about nothing related to Krishna consciousness, but we may hear names of Krishna. Huh? Anyone had that experience? Yes? So our ears become purified by always hearing about the topics of Sri Krishna. Actually, every sound, everything, ultimately, is Krishna. Krishna informed Lord Brahma. What is that? The verse escaped me. Yatirtad. In English, the translation is that everything, even up to the present moment, even right now, We should see everything in relationship to Krishna. And whatever appears not to be in relationship to Krishna, that is simply the illusion of his material energy. The Brahmavads say everything here is Maya, but they don't know what that Maya is. It's not that it doesn't exist. It exists. You think it doesn't exist, I'll punch you in the face. It exists. The material world exists. It's not. But the illusion is that it's separate from Krishna, therefore I won't punch you in the face. Because you are part of Krishna too. That's the illusion. That everything is going on independently. I think I am going on independently even giving this lecture. I'm not. Krishna is giving remembrance and forgetfulness and knowledge. Mata smriti jnanam apohanam cha. So everything's under the direct control and the indirect control of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And then another one of the senses, knowledge acquiring senses, is the tongue. We like to taste wonderful things. Most of you were not so unfortunate, but most of my godbrothers and I were very unfortunate to have developed tastes for very sinful things, because that was the nature of the culture that we grew up in. To develop tastes for very, very sinful things. And I remember the first time I went, I went to the Ananda Ashram, Dr. Mishra's Ananda Ashram, and tasted their vegetarian food, so nicely spiced. Oh yeah, this would be easy to become a vegetarian. So when people taste Krishna prasadam, then it becomes very, very nice. I remember one time we were visiting with my wife's family in Georgia, and she cooked a very nice vegetarian dish, and everyone was commenting, "Oh, I could become vegetarian if I had things like this." So we're distributing prasadam, so people get the higher taste. In fact, we have the cookbook, the higher taste. I used to like to distribute those, and I still like to distribute them. They're very nice because people think they're just getting a recipe book, maybe, but they're getting a recipe for how to get out of this material world and go home back to Godhead. Both kinds of recipes are there. Simply, it's very simple. It's just change of attitude. I'm not cooking for myself. I'm not cooking for my sweetheart. I'm not cooking for my family. I'm cooking only for Radha Krishna, for Guru and Gauranga I'm cooking. So we're meditating. Sometimes we can do that. It's not always easy, but we're meditating. We want to meditate, even if artificially. That how will Krishna and his devotees, how will Prabhupada and Krishna, all my godbrothers and all the people who come to taste prasadam, how will they enjoy? So if we practice, eventually it becomes second nature. To feel that way, to think that way. So another one of the senses, knowledge acquiring senses, is the nose. We want to smell nice things. So we have the incense and the flowers every day. The flowers that we offer to Krishna are brought around, and we get some of the fragrance that was put on the Lord. Use our nostrils to smell the fragrance. Actually, when we eat, most of the taste is actually not taste, it's smell. There are only 5 tastes. It's, I think 5. There's salty, pungent, sour, sweet. Bitter. That's all the tongue really perceives. The rest is coming from the scent. But we consider it taste, the taste. So we did the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, and then the touch. The touch. And this is very also related to the sex desire, the desire to touch. So how can we purify that? Well, one way is we hold the japa beads, and we finger the japa beads a certain way. Right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare. So we purify the sense of touch. And we bump into the devotees during kirtan, right? Dinabandhu often reminds us that the way we make spiritual advancement is by bumping into the devotees. at kirtan. So it's good that everyone can get together. I know one temple I went to, everyone was lined up, very military-like, and no one was bumping into each other. So I try to be a buster-upper. But they didn't know me well enough, so I couldn't really do too much. But it's great, it's so wonderful. In Vrindavan during Kartik, boy, you're bumping into everyone. Here we're a small group, but we shouldn't be standoffish, especially during kirtan. Not that we intentionally bump. Sometimes we intentionally bump into someone. One devotee, Raj Das, in New Vrindavan, he would go around we would do parikrama around the temple. They have a nice parikrama, and goes behind the altar. Do you have that here? No. And he would always be out in the front, and he would grab people by the arm, arm in arm, and twirl around, and then the other one, not fast, slowly, and then twirl around, And it was very nice, If I wasn't dancing, I'm supposed to dance when he would do that. Personally, I love dancing. So there's the active senses, also the muscle culture, the muscles, the legs, and they're active senses. We also receive knowledge from the active senses. Right? Someone is singing, he's using the vocal cords in his mouth, those muscles. But that activity produces an awareness, a certain kind of consciousness. That's why we chant and sing Hare Krishna, because it helps us to develop, we become hypnotized, mesmerized, charmed by the holy names. It's very wonderful. For so long, I've been experiencing great difficulty in concentrating my mind on just simply hearing Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The mind is very restless, Arjuna informs Krishna, and controlling it is more difficult to me, it seems, than controlling the wind. Who can control the wind? Of course, Christ is famous for having controlled the weather one time. They were out at sea, and very rough. They all thought they were going to drown in the boat. And Christ, who's certainly a Shakti Avatar, mercy incarnation of the Lord, he simply told the winds to calm, and they calmed. But most of us cannot control the wind. Cannot control the wind. Sometimes it seems like we can, but Krishna's very tricky, He knows something is going to happen. He knows something is going to happen. And we have some desire for a mystic city, Then he may get, oh yeah, you wanted to calm the wind? Okay, calm the wind. But he knew in advance that the wind is going to calm, right? So we can't really tell what's going on, because Krishna can accomplish so many things with one endeavor. He does accomplish so many things. And everyone sees things differently. When Krishna's sitting, taking lunch, surrounded by the cowherd boys, all the cowherd boys are thinking, oh, Krishna is just talking to me. He's ignoring everyone else. Everyone is feeling that way. So how does he do that? And then during the rasa dance, he placed himself between each two of the gopis. There were 108 gopis, so Krishna was between each two gopis. There were 54 expansions of Krishna. And they were all doing dancing in different ways. Not that they were imitation copies of the one. Yogis can do that. They can expand themselves and be 5 or 6 places at once, but they're all doing the same thing. But Krishna is an individual over here, he's an individual on the altar, he's an individual in Braj, he's ever in our hearts. He's also another individual reciprocating with us. And yet he's the same Krishna. He simply expands himself, which is easy enough for him, but we cannot do anything like that. So here, the human form of life is meant for cleansing away the misconceptions that I'm an American, I was born in New York City, came from a Jewish family, my wife accepted Catholicism, I came to appreciate this and that, I'm tall, I'm old, I'm short, I'm young, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I'm man, I'm woman, I'm tree, I'm frog, whatever. These bodily, to some extent we have to identify, because if we don't, the body will be destroyed, right? You know, we go out into traffic, we're chanting, you have to step out of the way of the car. So you have to identify with your body enough to do that, to protect it. But it's more than that, it becomes a habit. So I like to say things to people that help get us out of it. Like the very frequent question is, how old are you? So I could just say, well, I'm 77, but then what's the benefit? You know? Well, how old are you? Well, actually, I'm eternal. I'm not this body. This body may be 77, but actually this body is not 77. Modern science tells us that every 7 years, all the cells in your body have been replaced. Every cell, after 7 years, all your cells are completely replaced by a new cell. So the body is at most 7 years old. Right? The DNA is programmed in such a way, or Mother Nature is programmed in such a way, Krishna has programmed it in such a way that our bodies grow old and die. They go up, they maintain, they dwindle, and they die. Differences of life. But actually, there's no reason why we couldn't live much longer. Because the cells are capable of growing from a single egg and sperm cell to a baby, and then the baby is capable of growing up and getting teeth and becoming an adult. The body still has that capability, it's there, but we're programmed not to have that. So that is very good. So we don't become too attached to things in this world. The advantage of old age, I can tell you by direct experience, is that it's often not very pleasant. You know, there are so many aches in the body, I don't have the energy I used to have to chant Hare Krishna. So it increases our desire to get free from birth, death, disease, and old age. In the heavenly planets, everything is so nice that people are so happy, let me just enjoy. It's hard to renounce everything. We become so attached. Even the mode of goodness, one becomes conditioned to the sense of happiness. I'm happy, I'm fine, I don't need anything, I'm okay. So too much happiness is not good because we become attached to it. Well, what could be better than happiness? How about bliss? And what is bliss? Bliss is always increasing happiness. Always increasing happiness. Even we feel some unhappiness in the spiritual world. In Krishna Loka, there's happiness and there's unhappiness. But that unhappiness is like bittersweet chocolate. And when we're adults, we develop a taste for bittersweet chocolate. Children like milk chocolate. But bittersweet is also very nice. Actually, it's the highest taste, the bittersweet. Prabhupada was lecturing in Los Angeles, and I was still a new devotee. I'd been in the movement, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so. And when Prabhupada was here in Los Angeles, I would chant Hare Krishna. By the time I got to the fourth round, I had no other desire in my heart at all, except to simply Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. And it would go on like that. And then by the time I reached the 12th, 13th round, I'd think, well, that would be selfish to simply sit and chant Hare Krishna all day. Prabhupada's got this movement to distribute books, so I would develop that desire. And every day, day after day after day, that happened when Prabhupada was there. And then one day, Prabhupada looked at me from the Vyasa-san. He said, so one day you may find that you have no desire to chant Hare Krishna. And I was shocked, Because my experience was, I just want to chant forever. And Prabhupada was telling me that one day, the day would come when I have no desire to chant Hare Krishna. And you have no desire to do any service. I don't want to wash the dishes. I don't want to sweep the floor. I don't want to study Sanskrit. I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit here and meditate, achieve nirvana or something. It's hard for me to believe. And he said, but if you pray, Mother Radharani, please let me chant one more round Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And please let me do some little bit more service. Prabhupada said, if you can get a taste for that, then you will never fall down. I don't want to chant, I don't want to serve, I don't want to get up. But please, merciful Lord Chaitanya, please, merciful Lord Nityananda, I'm always unhappy. Please, you're always happy. Please give me inspiration, strength to do some service, to chant Hare Krishna. For hope against hope. Prabhupada said, if we get that taste, we'll never fall down. And that made perfect sense. But then he said something that was even more amazing, and I still can't comprehend it. He said, actually, that is the highest taste. That is the highest taste. Because back then I was experiencing so much enthusiasm. You know, I was a new devotee, and all these things were new to me, and I would just dance like anything, and chant like anything. I had been trained in acting, and also from Dr. Mishra, I learned how to fix my mind on something and really become inspired. So I thought that'll never happen. How can that be happier? How could that be more blissful than chanting like that? Chocolate with no sugar at all. Just plain chocolate. But chocolate by itself is bitter. If you don't put in some sugar, it's very bitter. But Prabhupada says it's the highest taste. So we have to accept, I don't want to serve Krishna. I'm tired of this. I'm not being treated nicely. I don't care for what I'm doing. Don't want to get up in the morning. But I'll do it anyway, because I promised I would. But I'm having taste. But I'm not at that stage where I'm doing it without any taste. But that, believe it or not, is the highest taste. Actually, that is the highest taste. So I'm not sure I want that taste. I remember in Vrindavan one time, there was one elderly gentleman, I was thinking that perhaps he was Prabhupada's godbrother. He was chanting Hare Krishna, and his mood was that, as if Krishna had told him 1,000 years ago, you just stay here and chant, and I'll come back later. And 1,000 years later, he's still chanting Hare Krishna. And he had no taste at all, and he had lost patience, but still, he was chanting. And then there was a little kirtan, and one young devotee came, and it was with Madhava. He was just so fired up, and he was chanting Hare Krishna. And this gentleman would also join in, but still that dryness was there. You know, oh, well, I'd rather be like that young man, chanting with great enthusiasm, you know. But for all I know, that elderly gentleman was tasting the highest taste. So we shouldn't long for it. We should not desire, oh Krishna, let me have no taste at all, and then just chant without any motivation, and just do it as a matter of duty, even though it doesn't do a thing for me. We shouldn't aspire for that. But it may happen. Sometimes it happens, even in the beginning. Sometimes it happens. We'd be in the car with Satsarup Maharaj and Mahajudi and Ishadas and what was his name? Other devotees, Gachavan, the devotee who sings the Beatles songs. Huh? Again?
George Harrison.
His name starts with an N, I think. He does the Beatles songs, but he gave his own lyrics to them. Anyway, maybe I'll probably remember his name later. So we'd be sitting in the car, it would be freezing cold, you know, and we'd be hugged together in the car, giving warm and chanting Hare Krishna, and you begin to fall asleep. Fall asleep. So then one time it happened to me, and they kicked me out of the car. All they wanted me to do was get a little refreshed, you know, but I thought they'd kick me out. So I stayed out there. I just could not stand it any longer. So I begged to come back in. You know, I was out there chanting. And then he said, why did you stay out there so long? And I thought, I thought you kicked me out. No, we just wanted to perk you up a little bit. Well, that's nice. But it was nice in a way, just chanting in the cold. I don't want to do it again. But it had certainly, I did it once. Yeah. Nice look back on it later when it no longer hurts. I remember one time we were doing this small town Sankirtan, and I got back into the van, and Satsurup Maharaj was there, Srila Satsurup Maharaj, and my legs began to ache. Oh, they ached terribly. They're really tremendous pain, you know. And my godbrother would say, "Oh, just ignore it, you know." You know, I didn't show much for some reason, even though I was in agony. I didn't show it externally, different part of the brain, you know. But I wasn't even thinking they'd have to take me to the hospital because I might jump out the window or something to get free of this pain. And Prabhupada was lecturing on tape. He was lecturing, and he was saying that that happiness and distress are coming. We don't have to go look for them. We don't have to look for happiness. We don't have to work for happiness. Just as distress comes by itself, on its own accord, we simply do our duty, and happiness will come on its own accord. It's there. It's coming. But then he also said that devotee also feels some discomfort, some pain, but now the suffering is that I'm suffering this pain on Krishna's behalf. So it's no longer the same, quite. So it hurts just as much. But at least I'm suffering this pain because I've been out walking all day, right? It didn't happen on other days, just that one day, you know. So I'm suffering this, the pain was coming anyway. I was going to suffer some pain anyway. For some mundane reason, I was going to suffer some pain. Maybe by walking a mile for a Camel cigarette. There was an ad when I was a young boy. These army guys, and I'd walk a mile for a Camel. Because they were addicted, that's why. They're addicted. So it's not like that you're walking a mile to get some sense gratification and you just ache all over. Or still the aching all over is there, but well, I'm suffering on behalf of Krishna. Or a woman is having a child. It's tremendous agony. We can't imagine it. Women can't imagine it. But she's suffering. That becomes a cause of love. It's not ordinary suffering. Haridas Thakur was being whipped in one marketplace after another. Of course, he was on another platform. He was laughing sometimes. His only unhappiness and pain was to see the anger and the negativity of the people who were persecuting him. That was his only unhappiness and pain. Until someone said to him, one of them said, "Please, we've been ordered to kill you. So please, let us kill you, or we'll be in big trouble." So he agreed, all right. So it appeared that his body died, and they threw it in the river, and it went floating across the river to where Lord Chaitanya was having his program, and Lord Chaitanya picked up the body of Haridas, and he danced with it, carrying the body of Haridas in great ecstasy. So a devotee dies to live. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die. A Vaishnav dies to live, and living tries to spread the holy name around. Something to that effect. So Prabhupada came, the great devotees came, pure devotees came, and they appear to be born. We also appear to be born, and to grow up, and to grow mature, and to start to dwindle, and then finally the body is totally useless. We're forced out of the body. But that's not really happening to us. So we have to remind each other. Someone says, how old are you? You say, well, what level are you? I'm eternal. Are you eternal? We're all, I would say to people, someone would say, how are you today? I'd say, well, we're all eternally full of bliss and knowledge, right? That's our real nature. And then they would smile, and yeah, it is. That's everyone knows our real nature. Our real nature is eternity, bliss, and knowledge. And the more we remember it, preaching is so wonderful, because when we're preaching to someone, you have to hear. Sometimes I like, beauty of giving a class, it's one of the few times that actually my mind doesn't wander of the lecture. Right? The mind tends to wander. Ours goes through an entire class sometimes, and my mind would be wandering through the whole class. So preaching is so wonderful because not only does the other person hear, but we hear, and we have to realize what we're saying, and it forces our understanding. So tell people, I'm not this body, just like Jad Bharat. I'm not old, I'm not fat, I'm not young, I'm not strong, I'm not weak. All these things pertain to the body, and I'm none of these things. So Maharaj Rahugana, he was so delighted to hear this transcendental knowledge that he got off his chariot and offered his obeisances to Jad Bharat. And Jad Bharat spoke these wonderful verses. So the verse again. My dear King Rahugana, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from the contamination of material enjoyment, as long as he does not conquer his 6 enemies, the 5 working knowledge acquiring senses and the mind, and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. So we don't want to do that. We have to conquer. So, any questions? Yes. What is your name, Prabhu? Oh, there's a microphone you pass around. Happiness and misery. Yeah. What is your name, Prabhu?
My name is Taru Krishnadas.
Taru Krishnadas. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I just want to check the understanding. Like you told that when we don't get taste to chant Hare Krishna, and we are trying to chant Hare Krishna, oh Radharani, please let me chant one more time Hare Krishna. Let me have some more service. He said that is the highest taste.
No, when we're feeling I don't have any desire to chant Hare Krishna. So I'm just praying to Mother Radharani, who's the sum total of all devotion, the personification of devotion, to just let me do one more round. I remember there was a point where I was praying to each round that I would chant. Very sweet, because sometimes we don't want to chant. The mind wanders like anything. Right? Yesterday, I confess, it was the first time I chanted 16 rounds in I don't know how long. Yesterday. Even though I was staying in Vrindavan, just because my mind is so restless. I used to be, because I'm an actor, I could chant, but I'd have to chant with great emotion, very dramatically, and dance very, very dramatically to entertain my mind. And everyone thought I was just showing off. But I was also trying to show off to my mind to please pay attention. But the beauty of it is method acting. Is if you act enthusiastic, you'll be enthusiastic. Just, if you're not humble, just act as if you were humble. And then be humble enough to pretend that you're humble. And eventually humility will come.
So that is the highest taste we can have. You told that there is happiness in the mode of goodness.
But it's beyond the mode of goodness.
But this is beyond mode of goodness.
Yes, it's Vishuddha-sattva, it's pure goodness, it's transcendental. But we have to feel it. We have to, please, Radharani, please. I know I don't have any feeling. I know I'm not even sincere in my prayer. I wish I was sincere, or I wish I was sincere. I pray like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, yesterday I was reading in Prabhupada, we read that as we have to take Krishna consciousness very seriously and try to increase our spiritual absorption more, and it is always, Prabhupada always writes that material happiness and distress are already destined.
Right.
So, just as distress comes without endeavor, material happiness comes. So, we have heard it many times, but sometimes I get confused because when we see that we have to endeavor so much hard, work so hard just for little material happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we don't at all work, how that it will come? It is very difficult to understand.
You have to work. What is your name, Prabhu?
Kiran.
Again?
Kiran.
Kiran. Yeah, Krishna tells Arjuna, you have to work. If you don't want to fight, you're going to have to fight anyway. It's your nature. You're a katra. You may say, I don't want to fight, but someone's going to insult you. You're going to want to fight. So you have to do it anyway. But instead of doing it because you have to do it, it's your nature, fight for me because I want you to fight. Duryodhana wanted to get rid of the Pandavas and kick them out. He wouldn't give them even enough land to fit under the head of a pin. So the Pandavas, they had no attachment for the kingdom, right? They had Krishna. They were willing to give up the kingdom. They made five, that's how the pin came in. Yeah. They were requesting from Duryodhana, because they were Kshatriyas, they had a rule, they had to play the role of Kshatriyas, so they asked for just 5 villages. And his mother, his mother's name? No, Duryodhana's mother. Huh?
Gandhari.
Oh, Gandhari, right. She told him, what, just 5 villages. And he said, I am not prepared to give them even so much land as will fit under the head of a pin. I know that line well because I got to play Duryodhana in that play. And when I said that line, I just summed up all the envy. It's easy to play the demons than the devotees. We all experience that, Just summed up all the imagined envy I could, everything, all my actual envy, and I said that with and Prabhupada he was so utterly disgusted with me, Of course it wasn't me, it was Duryodhana, but I was in character a little bit, I felt this immense disgust as I walked off the stage. But that wasn't so nice. But on the other hand, it meant that Prabhupada was really getting into the play, That was very nice. Very nice feeling. So we have some good roles, we have some bad roles to play. Narad Muni later has a very unhappy play. I played that part too. I played two parts in that play. I played Narad Muni as well as Duryodhana. And Prabhupada really didn't like Duryodhana at all. Who can? But when I did Narad Muni, he wasn't impressed at all. Like I was praying to Narad Muni, how can I do this? But I couldn't. Very difficult part. Even Kamsa, when he was in awe when Narad Muni came. Even Kamsa was in awe. And Lokamanga, who was playing Kongsa? No, it wasn't Lokamangala. I don't remember who was playing Kongsa. Lokamangala played Maharaj Yudhishthira. And the actor playing Kongsa, he had to act, because he didn't feel along the rights either when I came in as Narad. So he just had to act it, as if. But Prabhupada was like unmoved. Sometimes I think it was because he knew what Narad Muni was coming for. Externally, it's not a very nice thing. It was came to tell Kamsa to kill all of the children of Vasudeva and Devaki. Kamsa became a little soft-hearted when Vasudeva came and brought him his first child. And his heart melted a little bit. I have nothing to worry from this first child. Go back. But then Narad Muni came and said, no, you better not do that. Because you don't know, is he counting from the first child or from the last child? Which one is the eighth child? Is it the first child, the oldest child? Or is it or is it counting from the middle? Hari is very tricky. Krishna is very tricky. He is. So then Kamsa was convinced. So that's, externally, it's not a very pleasant role to play. But of course Narad Muni knew who these souls were and why that had to happen. Any other questions?
How to understand when Prabhupada says one need not endeavor so much for material happiness?
Right, we shouldn't endeavor at all for it. You don't endeavor to become miserable, do you? Well, sometimes you do. Sometimes we do. We feel guilty and we don't accept the forgiveness. Krishna's always ready to forgive us and engage again in service, But sometimes we hang on to our guilt and our wrongs, so then we don't want to be happy. But you have to give that up too. So normally, if we're healthy-minded, we don't want to. Let me drink some hydrochloric acid. If acid in my stomach, I'll just drink some really strong hydrochloric acid, and I'll feel rotten. Yeah. Only a crazy person thinks like that. So sane people don't endeavor to be unhappy and miserable, but it comes.
Is it that we cannot give up work, but we should not become attached?
Right, we should work with the spirit of detachment. You're entitled to your service. Do your service. But you're not entitled to the fruit of your service. That's Krishna, it belongs to Krishna. I may get some good result, I may not get some good result. I was practically the smallest book distributor on the team. I brought back the least amount of Lakshmi, the smallest number of books, and everyone kept telling me, don't be attached to the result, just do your duty. Still, it would have been nice to have a great day. But just do your duty. And your duty comes from your nature. You can't deny your nature. For a little while you can. But also your nature is to do something, then you should at least keep it as a habit and dovetail it somehow in Krishna's service. Don't give it up. I was really attracted to studying Sanskrit. And when I was traveling with Satsvarupa Maharaj and company, they go, why are you studying Sanskrit? You don't trust Prabhupada's translations? No, there's some little subtleties that are very beautiful. And Prabhupada knew that I was studying Sanskrit, and he would look at me sometimes during a lecture, and he would make some small point. And then when I saw him in Detroit, he was making so I stopped studying. And I was in Detroit, and he looked at me and he made some small grammatical point, and he noticed I wasn't enthusiastic about it anymore, and it disappointed him. He was sad that I hadn't continued. So if you have something, if it's not your duty to study Sanskrit, but you love studying Sanskrit, then still do a little. Do what's asked of you. You can always tell someone, I really want to do some work with Sanskrit. That's good, you can pursue it. But don't give up the duty that you're prescribed to do. And don't give up your own talents and inclinations. Somehow or other, dovetail everything in Krishna's service. Krishna knows who you are, what you want to do. So he'll eventually, if we are humble and submissive and cooperative, he will eventually guide us in the right direction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent question.
Thank you.
Your name, Prabhu?
My name is Abhishek.
Abhishek.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your wonderful point. I was hearing online. Like I really like the point about we praying to Rashtriamati Radharani, please one more round, one more service. So it's really hope giving for me. And thank you for the lecture. And my question is that eventually when Prabhupada was with few devotees, they had direct interactions with Srila Prabhupada. But eventually so many devotees came up. And still the Prabhupada could maintain the relation with everyone. So how, now as we don't have that physical association.
Yes, you have.
Through books and but how did Prabhupada did so much gave so much hope through his association, even though so many people were there, so many devotees out of country were there?
Because he's part and parcel of Krishna. We can't understand the Guru Tattva, just like we can't understand Krishna. You know the example of blind men are trying to discover what an elephant is. And one is feeling the elephant's legs. And, an elephant is like a great pillar. Another, the trunk is, the elephant is like a snake. And then one has the tail. The elephant is like a rope. And one is feeling the side of the elephant. It's like a wall. Right? So we're blind. We can't understand Guru Tattva. Acharya mam vijanayam, Krishna says. The Acharya is my very self. He's the sum total of all the devatas. One should always respect him. One should never disrespect him. Always respect him. We can't understand. We can't even understand ourselves, the inconceivable nature of the Jivatma. Our real nature is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat is always. When we finally become self-realized, we realize, I was always such a Ananda. I just was covered over. Our spiritual life doesn't begin. It never begins. It's always been. What begins is our material life, and that ends also. So, what was your question again? How does he accomplish all that? Because he's part and parcel of Krishna. When Krishna appears as a spiritual master. I remember I had one dream one time that I was studying with, I've already started it, so I'll tell it. I was doing theater with Prajapati, and I had one dream, and two of us were really in a lot of Maya. Won't go into details, but in my dream he appeared and he said, Randolph McKee, that was Prajapati's legal name, and Martin Rosenthal. How did Prabhupada know my legal name? Right? Because Krishna appears as the spiritual master, and Krishna knows everything. Yes.
Srila Prabhupada used the opulence and service of Krishna without getting attached to the opulence.
Right.
So how did he because when opulence comes, one is tendency that...
You want to start that again? I don't understand. You're saying oblets or something? I didn't understand the word. Huh?
Whenever opulence comes...
opulence. Not to become attached to the opulences.
Yeah, we try to, keep the facilities with us so that we can be more happy and like that.
Right.
But how Sri Prabhupada was I heard one time he came to some place where he got up himself and took cold bath.
No.
Yeah, even though it was very cold and he was not very well. But other devotees were sleeping that time. But Sri Prabhupada, so how does he maintain this equilibrium?
One is practice. Just practice performing austerities. You're a Brahmana. Austerity is the wealth of the Brahmanas. So by practice. What came to my mind first when you were asking the question, now I'm forgetting what came to my mind first. Anyway, I remember one time, the first time I took a really cold shower, ice cold water out in the freezing weather. Poured a bucket. It was before I joined Krishna consciousness. Poured a bucket of cold water on my head, you know. I was a Brahmavad or a Mayavad, Dr. Mishra's student. And just spontaneously, while cold water was coming down, I said, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And my girlfriend said, well, you know, why are you chanting Krishna? I said, it's the only way I can stand this austerity. It's so if we just chant out, Krishna, 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 Krishna is there, he will help us. Go with strength. Any others? Yes. Your name again, Prabhu?
My name is Abhishek.
Abhishek, yes.
Prabhuji, that Prabhupada always said that I am there in his books.
Huh?
Prabhupada said that I am there in
Yes.
his book.
Right.
So, for me, how to develop relation with Srila Prabhupada through his books?
Through his books.
Through his books, how to develop a relation? Can you give
Well, I remember being on Sankirtan sometimes, you know, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I'd be out in the parking lot, going from person to person and getting too much rejection and wanting to give them Krishna and having all the best intentions in the world, but they didn't appreciate it, you know. It kind of wore down on me. And I just stopped and started reading a little bit. And then after reading for a while, it was like every sentence was telling me, get back out there and distribute. So perform your service, perform your duty, and read Prabhupada's books. Especially when you've got problems. Read his books.
But when we read, I feel that I'm reading one another. I'm not able to have that relation with Srila Prabhupada. Even though Srila Prabhupada has written this, but I'm having a problem this like that I'm reading one another.
Well, it's the same like with Mother Rani and praying for the desire to chant. Prabhupada, I'm reading this as if it were mundane literature. But I know that you're the Param Guru, you're the Acharya, founder Acharya of ISKCON, you've written these books. Please, 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 let me relate to this, please. And you're the Chaita Guru, so please let me feel that you are speaking to me.
Hare Krishna. Like we read this verse where Jadabharat is telling, he's telling a transcendental knowledge. So as certain situations come in our life, similar situations, then many times we cannot act exactly like pure devotees. Like pure devotees means if someone comes to kill them, they tell like I am not this body. And even if
Not necessarily. Arjuna wasn't about to let anybody kill him, right? It depends on your duty. If you're a Brahmin, you might feel that way. If you're very, very, very Brahminical, or like Jad Bharat and Avaduta.
So when we hear such teachings, like I get confused how to apply. Like when certain situation comes, like we are in that situation and we don't have time to ask seniors how to apply. And if we suddenly react as we have heard from scriptures, then that may not be exactly correct. So how to understand, like at my level, how to apply that?
First I have to understand your question. I don't quite understand your question. How do we apply our knowledge in everyday situations?
Like we hear that always you should be renounced and you should be always detached. So you should have such response.
Right.
And many times like when a situation comes, I feel like I should act according to my level, not like how pure devotees are acting.
Well, there's a balance. It's a delicate balance. You don't want to just give it on, I'm just a conditioned soul, let me just smoke and some ganja. You can't think like that. That's forbidden. You can't do that. Or, but if you feel you've got to be married, or you have to have nice food stuff, or you have to have a comfortable bed to sleep in, then try to limit and control your desires. Somehow dovetail everything in Krishna service. If you want to be an opulent householder, then be a very nice example. of how someone in Krishna consciousness can still live with material opulences, but engage himself more and more in everything he has in Krishna's service. If you have a nice home, invite people to your home, and they'll feel nice, and I'll see, and here's the deity of Krishna, and you cook for them. So just pray for a way. How can I dovetail this desire, or how can I give it up? Best thing is if I can give it up. But I find I can't give it up, and then how can I dovetail it in Krishna's service? Prabhupada gives the example of a child is misbehaving. The best way to stop his misbehavior is to engage him in some superior activity, something better. So give yourself something better to do. Of having some, sleeping too much and then having some crazy dreams. Then don't do that. Just get up and take a shower. And the dreams, they're gone. Right? In a moment, they're gone. As soon as we do the right thing, they're gone. Okay? I have a comment. There has to be more temple devotees than I see here at this temple. So, Prabhupada wanted all of the, unless you're like a pujari and tending to the deities or in the kitchen cooking, doing some service that has to be done during class. Everyone should be here. I know what it's like, because I've missed so many classes. I've missed even one time I was asked to speak and I didn't go, years ago. I know what it's like. But it's very important that we encourage you. And if you're not doing some other service that has to be done during that time, you must go to. I'm too tired, I just can't go. Pick him up and carry him. Prabhupada said if someone can't make it to Mangalartik, Prabhupada said you should pick him up and carry him to Mangalartik. It's so important. That was the beauty of traveling and traveling Sankirtan. It was that peer pressure. Right? You know about that, huh? Yes. To do the right thing. Okay? Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. Ki!